Assemblyman Brian Miller joins us in studio. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. How many years in a row was the budget on time? Then you come along.
Yeah, I've been told about that the last 2.5 weeks. It's been a 6-year run. The guys told me everything was going good till you got here. So,
obviously, having some fun here with Assemblyman Brian Miller. Your first budget process. What are your thoughts on how the process goes? I know it's got to be exhausting, right?
Well, it's been a tough 2.5 weeks. I know, the way things were going down. We had a late budget. We had to pass extenders. We passed an extender until the 31st of May, and I thought that was much too long. If we're going to extend things, let's go for 2 weeks and get things moving. But things moved pretty well. I know over the last 2 weeks we put in many hours. A lot of guys were stuck down in Albany. I was fortunate to come back and forth, but that turned out not to be very good either. You're getting home at 12:30 at night, and you're getting up at 6 in the morning and getting back down there. I know Friday, once the governor and the Assembly and Senate announced that they had a budget deal at 8:45 Friday night, we were up just about around the clock. I slept in my office for an hour and a half, and our staff was ready to brief us. They told us 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was just a long 2 days.
So originally we had reported that on Friday, I believe, that the Assembly was going to stay, but that the Senate was not going to return until after the vacation. What changed?
I don't know. We were there. The Senate had left. The Assembly stayed. We kept working to hammer this thing out. I can't speak for the Senate or other Senate, why they went home. But once the budget deal was reached, the governor wanted it done. We wanted it done, and the Senate finally finished it up yesterday.
We talked actually just before we started about compromise. There's things in there you like, things you don't like, and when it comes to the budget, obviously there's a compromise. What's your takeaway from this first budget process for you? What are the things you like and don't like that are included in here?
Well, let's talk about the budget process first. I'm used to dollars and cents and no policy items in here. With the state budget, the governor...
We're talking about with the county, right?
With the county.
Yeah.
It was dollars and cents. Here at the state, it's a lot different. There was policy items thrown in. So, it meant some of our votes would be, there's things in there we like, but some of the policy items we didn't like, so we had to change them. Some of the things I do like is the increase in the state aid for the schools. That's a huge one up here in upstate New York.
Sure.
But tied in with that was the charter school aid, which turned out to be a bone of contention. It dragged the process out. Uber's huge. That worked out well. One thing I didn't like about Uber is letting the counties opt out of it. We here at Oneida County went through that with the fireworks law. If we're going to pass a state law, it should be uniform across the state.
Do you expect local counties to be opting out? I know you represent Oneida County or parts of Oneida County.
I represent just about every county all the way down through the state. My district's got 7 counties. I got the snake. No, I don't anticipate any counties opting out of this.
So what were the counties? That were kind of putting up a fuss that led to it being like that. Was it downstate? Was it Westchester?
Why
was
did
it
that
northern counties?
Why did that have to be included in the negotiation? Were there some that were showing interest in opting out?
I don't know where that came from. Most of the opposition for that came from downstate, New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Upstate, never heard of any of that. That's something the legislators been doing for a while, and it seems like they wanted to follow suit.
The free tuition, I saw 2 different reports. One was in the OD, and I forget where I saw the other one. But that income eligibility is a household making less than $100,000. And then I think by 2019, it changes to $125,000. But if you make less than $100,000 or $125,000, your children would be eligible for free SUNY tuition. Your take on that?
You're eligible anyways. This is was put in there to help the middle class. It's going to be a 3-year phase-in, $100,000 for this year, $110,000 up to $125,000. Is it really? I think that it should have been higher threshold on that for the middle class.
So you support that? You like this?
No, I wasn't for that.
Okay.
I wasn't at free tuition.
Well,
you're
it's just
saying, why for 125? Why for 125? And then let's say somebody makes 126 or 125.9, they're not eligible.
And $1, you're not eligible for it. I wasn't for the free tuition.
Well, the higher you go, though, the more people would be lumped in. If it was 150,000, you'd have more people eligible for free tuition and so on. So you were against it, but if they were going to do it, you'd like the.
I liked it a little higher. I like the TAP increase, the threshold for TAP increased even more to make it eligible. Not just for the SUNY schools, but help out the private colleges. My office was getting phone calls left and right, some for, some against, and probably we had more against for free tuition.
I want to ask you as well, because of your situation is a bit unique. The district you represent, the shape of it, and how it bleeds downstate, I guess I'll say. The calls you got, was there a different tone from, I guess, further upstate versus down toward the city?
Not really. The district goes from here to Orange County, but it's truly an upstate rural community district. We all have the same problems. I've talked about them a million times. Jobs, infrastructure, loss of population, and that's what these people really care about. This district is truly a good cross section of New York State, and this is rural America. This is what it is.
First budget process. Are you looking forward to next year's?
Well, next year's going to be a little unique. April 1st, I believe, falls on Easter Sunday. The first time since 1956. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on the governor, the Assembly, and the Senate to get this done before, Good Friday's going to be, of course, on Friday. Easter Sunday comes up.
Right.
Are we going to pass an extender? I don't want to pass any more extenders. Let's get this done well before the time limit.
So let's hope you get started working on it today for next year.
We always start working on next year's budget. We can't forget about it. But, it's Monday morning. It's been a long process. We're still tired. We're sleep deprived. I'm heading to Delhi to go down and see the business that made the goalpost for the Super Bowl.
Nice.
Right here in Central New York.
I guess I didn't know that.
Yep. So we'll be going down there. We're still working. That's my job. I work this like a full-time job. There's no days off. We work 5, 6, 7 days a week, and that's what we do.
And speaking of that, I know there was a lot of talk about this. Was there a raise for legislators in this budget?
No.
No. Okay.
That was last year's budget. There's been talk about the legislature and the governor were at odds, and that started this whole thing out. I don't know. There's been no talk about it. There's been no talk about it to me, so I don't know if that was an issue. But we moved things along. Right. But one thing that was tough on Saturday, we're trying to pass one of the last bills, and there's 5 hours of debate about raise the age, and not about true budget numbers. Mm-hmm. So that's where the policy issues and the dollar and cents issues just don't mix.
And where did you stand on that? Raise the age?
No, I wasn't for raise the age.
It's interesting. It's 17 and 18-year-olds now, even 17 and 18-year-olds, or 16, 17-year-olds. It gets referred to what they're calling a youth court. Mm-hmm. Misdemeanors can be sealed, and then felony offenses would be handled differently. It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, there's going to be some different issues there. One of the things that was brought up that some of the family court judges might be handling some murder situations. Mm. So there's a lot of debate, serious crimes.
Yeah.
But that was a big issue for us. Another issue was the shared services throughout the counties and the local municipalities.
Yeah.
That was tied into aid to municipalities. I don't know where the governor was coming with that. I had to reach back and use my experience as a former town supervisor and county legislator. We do these things. Oneida County's been great with it. Tony Pacini's really worked hard on consolidating services. I don't even know why that was even brought up.
Well, and he is the county executive continues to push for more. So let me ask you, the governor is incentivizing shared services, or he's penalizing you for not doing it?
Well, there's incentives for reimbursement for your cost for shared services. There isn't any penalty or or anything like that. That's all you can. That's all you could get out of it, to get some of your costs back. But some municipalities can opt out of it. That's the way they left it. So it's really, is it a good, was it a good policy item to debate there? Absolutely not. We could have just, let the counties do what they do, and just help them along.
All right, interesting. Assemblyman Brian Miller, representing parts of 7 counties. Do I have that right?
7 counties and 25 towns.
And came in this morning and said this was a long process and it is exhausting. So it's over now. Your first budget in the bag. And
I own a late one. So.
That's right. Giving him a hard time, blaming him for the late budget. Thanks for
guys.
joining us this morning.